토요일날 새벽 4시가 막 지났습니다. 자, 아침 독서를 또 하면서 영어신문 스크랩을 포함해서 광범위하게 또 크레이지 리딩을 좀 하겠습니다. We recommend your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight for unexpected turbulence. How come I screw everything up? Becoming still concerned about propriety, I insisted we keep our blooming relationship out of sight of our colleagues, though it hardly worked. Salvaging the day after a restless night, exposing yourself to bright natural light is another way to increase alertness, said the Sumi Lee, an associate professor of human development and family studies at Penn State University. To get the benefits of both light and exercise, she suggested taking a midday walk. The gaggle, how the guys you know will help you find the love you want. The super horny guy who happened to be around a lot. The guys at the gaggle. It turns out that I probably should have walked her through her gaggle inventory more thoroughly when we met, because she definitely had one gaggle. Obedience to authority, the experiment that challenged human nature. An alternative theory. Is aggression the key? Thought for the day. God can turn my weariness into worship. Creativity. Rules are there to be challenged. 229. Don't forget the obvious. Knowing how a situation came to be is helpful for taking the right kind of steps towards the resolution. Melumzi is the sweetest Madeira, reminiscent of the Bean Santo, but kaleidoscopic in its complexity. It's always personal. Emotions in the new workplace. Finally, as ridiculously simple as it seems, smile when it's appropriate. Half the country is likely to view the court as having acted illegitimately if the court rules against their preferred candidate. Life strategies for teens. They are decisions that we have made about what we will and won't do in our lives, and what standards we will hold ourselves to. In contrast, in contrast, Koreans were spending less time on dating apps, widely regarded as a means for casual hookup or a fun fling in the conservative Asian country. Casual hookup. Putting it in writing. School report. Tips for writing good book report. Reporting on a work of fiction for past of a book report title, sim statement, summary of the story, your opinion. But now developers can fetch higher rents with housing that is closer to campus, offering a bigger return on their initial investment, which can be high fetch. It's atrocious. It's atrocious what they had to face, the most violent space a human could have ever put themselves in, Turner said in a video interview. Tim, who owns a digital photography startup in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, plans to expand his billions in 2 to 3 years by servicing clients in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Des Moines, Iowa. Your children are not yours to own. My child's past has split from mine, as it should, but maybe the best is yet to come. I recounted the story of my first and only Olive and said I wanted her to have it. She said it was the nicest gift she had ever received. Why does everyone feel so insecure all the time? Will Europe ever get serious about the defense? Yet Europe is facing a determined aggressor who will surely continue his provocations. Give and take, a revolutionary approach to success over the next 3 years. As the mentor, Thomas directed the evaluation of a field trial of the Salcott vaccine, testing it on more than 1.8 million children with the help of 220,000 volunteers, 64,000 school workers, and 20,000 healthcare professionals. Hungary's shift doesn't ensure a NATO pass at the fall. Sweden. The stalling had put Mr. Orban where he likes to be, the center of attention. The center of attention, quoted by more powerful nation. Ghostwriters. Writers are sometimes treated like the cogs, interchangeable cogs, expected to write under pseudonym or interchangeable cogs. You trust in your cities that have high walls around them, but the people in them will be killed by swords. Swords. Stepping up. Always begin in the room always begin in the room you are in. Where does change begin? It begins in this room. Why? Because this is the room you are in. The art of Wu, using strategic persuasion to sell your ideas. Chapter 10. We tell this story from the perspectives of those most closely associated with it. Experiments in life. in life. That's less than half of what I took last night, so I guess I'll just take them. Outside the box. Moving goods through value chains on tight schedules became significantly more complicated. How to end self-sabotage and stand up for yourself. The idea that there was a real place he could put his energies shook him out of his self-pity and got him up off his butt. But now he faced a whole slew of potential bus. Slew. Skin in the game. The same newspapers had loaded the Black Swan, in which this very point was flashed out clearly, so visibly, to attack had nothing to do with the point I was making. Rather, they wanted to weaken Cameron by demonizing me. U.S. history, 1865 through the 20th century. Even though the Truman administration applied its containment strategy primarily in Europe. The first major battle in the Cold War occurred in East Asia, as the Soviet Union and the United States backed different faction in the Korean Civil War, the Korean War. They've been stolen, treating the topic as the grammatical subject. Then it is to say someone stole them. Managing your mouth, an owner's manual for your most important business asset. The rumor monger then enjoys a moment of bliss as the center of attraction. Korea sees 50 trillion won tax shortfall, prolonged slump, weaker corporate earnings lead to record shortage of tax revenue 2023. The child labor driving AI development. To be sure, ending the exploitation of children's data should not overshadow the harrowing condition of children facing labor right violation globally. Jesus calling. That is how many great grandchildren you will have. God promised, and Abraham believed God. Jesus calling. Mark chapter 10. Jesus looked at them and said, with man this is impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God. Jesus looked at them and said, "With man, that is, with man, that is impossible, but not with God. All things are possible with God." Mark chapter 10, verse 27. One-minute values, the natural health and happiness system that never fails. The essentials of maximized living offer maximum immune system function. A new way of caring for old Britons. Many geriatric health experts believe this kind of integrated care with a multidisciplinary team addressing all the issues that can affect the well-being from loneliness to immobility as the future for older people with complex health needs in Britain. A new way of caring for older Britons. Pharmacists, therapists, doctors, and others are gathered under one roof. Tokyo, the big city where housing is still affordable, Japan's capital, had succeeded in maintaining an abundance of affordable housing because it has no downtown, many railroads, and laws that make it easy to build. When we show up for each other, we make our lives richer and create a community. Persuasive presentation. A segment example. A donut can show how separate products fit into a shoot of offering. Smoking will ruin your health. Smoking will ruin your health. The body keeps the score. Brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma. This research needs much more work, but it opens up new perspective on how action that involve noticing and befriending the sensation in our bodies can produce profound changes in both mind and brain that can lead to healing from trauma. Befriending. Reading comprehension. Inferences aren't right there in black and white. Carted, toting, packing. You say more than you think. 7-day plan for using the new body language to get what you want. Read and fix any situation in 7 seconds or less. Use the following steps to create your own anchors. Use the following steps to create your own anchors. Step 1. Establish an anchor. Select a feeling or emotion that you would like to have in particular situation. Anchors. Dulcimer. The limits of power, the end of American exceptionalism. The post-application of the Bush Doctrine produced a shipwreck. Colleges did write the rankings, but some paid to flaunt them. The art of asking. Ask better questions, get better answers. What are the alternatives? What are the alternatives? Yeah, liver disease. The issue up to 70% of people with type 2, type 2 diabetes and between 50 and 90% of people with obesity have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or NAFLD, which occurs when excess fat builds up in the liver. Mistakes I made at work. 25 influential women reflect on what they got out of getting it wrong. They have a $120 million endowment. During my first trip to summer camp at 9, I cried twice. On the day I got there and the day I had to leave, I finally understand the why. There's no cure, there's no cure. For camp the sickness, that's okay. Millennials like me experienced Jewish camps in ways similar to our boomer parents. I'm feeling lucky. The compassion of Google employee number 59. We did the hardware. We did the hardware on its way to the data centers and the crawler, the indexer, the ranker, and the serving side progressing. Only one issue remained. Raising children in Korea, creating an environment to encourage people to have children and lessen the burden on new parents is highly commendable. To completing versions of democracy. On the campaign trail, Biden and Trump label each other the menace. Ten steps in writing the research paper include special advice on avoiding plagiarism. And we could not get outside it, for it lays in our language, and the language seemed to repeat it to us inexorably. I'm standing on the fields and I'm coaching the goalkeepers and over my shoulder I could hear this woman coaching a bunch of little kids. Miles Davis couldn't hit the high note his hero DG did, so what did he do? Knowledge and power, the information theory of capitalism, and how it is revolutionizing our world. When a single cell site fails, a frequent occurrence at AT&T, the intercell system can expand surrounding cells to pick up the traffic. When the problem is resolved, the entire system can never seamlessly to the original configuration. Deadlines and disruption. My turbulent past from print to digital. I think everybody is much more comfortable in an environment in which content can still be shared, tweeted, or blogged, said Martin, than the senior vice president for digital operation when the plan was announced. Since the black workers remained underrepresented underrepresented in well-paying jobs, the growing polarization of economic opportunity snatched away many of the gains one might have expected from a society that again was still racist, but not as racist as before. Everybody communicate, the few connect. What the most effective people do differently. The way I like to measure greatness is how many people can you make want to be better, be better. Why the fertility rate falling? The trend is the trend. The trend is typically attributed to a combination of economic prosperity, uh, which led to lower infant mortality and greater gender equality, as the women have gained more access to education and contraception, and as the anxieties associated with having children continue to intensify. More parents are delaying uh, pregnancy and fewer babies are being born. Equipping 101, what every leader needs to know. Once responsibility and authority have been given to people, they are empowered to make things happen. 40 days to a joy-filled life, living the 4 to 8 principle. Only through experience of trial and the suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambitions inspired, and success achieved. Sweden brings more books, handwriting to tech-heavy schools. Practice back. Back to Sweden brings more books, handwriting practice back to tech-heavy schools. When it rains, it pours. When it rains, it pours. Add garlic and white wine and turn heat to high and bring to a hot boil. Do you know how to get here? I asked. Yes, he said, don't worry. I realized how I was a part of them, and they were a part of me. 2 weeks into the trip, my mother declared that they were going to Grandma's grave the next day. Devotional Stories for Women 101 Daily Devotion to Comfort, encourage and inspire the women. Each devotion has a beautiful story that illustrates an inspirational Bible passage followed by an original personal prayer. My husband had been visiting the coal animal shelter every now and then to see if a collie came in, learning to love her again. Genesis chapter 1. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. Few workers to the promise of AI is a threat too. White-collar professionals could be made more productive or obsolete. Emotional intelligence, the essential ingredients to success. When to trust your God. You'll begin seeing similar patterns across the disparate field. Patterns others may overlook. Disparate. Don't sweat the small stuff and it's all small stuff. Simple ways to keep the little things from taking over your life. Although there are many techniques for quieting the mind, such as reflection, deep breathing, contemplation, and visualization, the most universally accepted and regularly used technique in meditation. Since 1981, Korea has allowed those aged 65 Since 1981, Korea has allowed those aged 65 and older to take a free ride on the subway. The 17 indisputable laws of teamwork. Embrace them and empower your team. Ask for feedback concerning your listening skills from your boss or mentor, your colleagues, and your subordinate. Give yourself a 360-degree review. If you, if you don't get high marks, if you don't get high marks from all of them, then quiet down, listen up, and work to become a better communicator. A better communicator. If lawmakers need convincing, they should not forget that supply chain management is a national security issue. The zigzag principle. The road to success is never a straight line. Once you have hit the jig number one and your business is profitable, you need to turn and head toward jag number two. You are not listening. What you are missing and why it matters. Some may have more natural ability, and some may have to try harder, but everyone can benefit from making the effort. Chapter 24. The officer eyed us. Eyed us suspiciously, then recognized me as I stepped into the street light. A united church is a strong church. So for the day, when I forgive someone, I am showing that person an image of Christ. Prayer, dear God, help us to forgive others in the same way that you have forgiven us. Amen. Then add the meat to the grill. So for the day, God is always ready for a conversation with me. Oprah Winfrey speaks. We get along so well because we want to do the same thing. The purpose-driven life. Deep fellowship is built with confidentiality. Brilliant question for great interviews. How to make sure you hire the right person for the job. Have you launched any new products? Have you identified any gaps in our product range? As we're looking at new market, ask them to identify who else was involved, etc., how successful it was, and so on. in order to quantify how much of this success was solely down to them. Thank God it's Monday. 52 weekly inspirational messages to blast away your Monday blues. Wherever you are, be there. Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find you're here and now, here and now. Intolerable and it makes you unhappy, you have three options. Remove yourself from the situation, change it, or accept it totally. The positive shift, mastering mindset to improve happiness, health, and longevity. These birds and the train riders were initially pretty hesitant to participate in part because they assumed that strangers would not be very receptive to their approach. Today we are rich, harnessing the power of total competence. This is why leaders must consider competence in the team strategy to the performance of the entire group. Visualize your team as a winning one and see individuals as superheroes instead of zeros. Go to bat for them every day and offer praise every chance that you get.